Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world with me, Deepika, coming up in the next 30 minutes. International Cricket Council rejects Pakistan government's stand to forfeit match against India in Men's T20 Cricket World Cup. US President Donald Trump hopes for negotiations with Iran after Tehran warns of regional conflict if US attacks. Rafah crossing between Gaza and Egypt to partially reopen for limited passage of Palestinians from both the sides. Good afternoon to all the viewers joining us at this afternoon broadcast. Well, the International Cricket Council on Sunday issued a statement taking strong objection to the announcement by the Pakistani government of forfeiting the T20 Cricket World Cup match against India. The ICC took note of the statement that the government of Pakistan instructing its national team to selectively participate in ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2026. While the ICC has made it clear that this position of selective participation is difficult to reconcile with the fundamental premise of a global sporting event where all teams are expected to compete on equal terms per the event schedule. ICC has said that this decision is not in the interest of the global game. The World Cricket Body further sent a word of caution, hoping that the PCB will consider the significant and long-term implications for cricket in its own country, as this is likely to impact the global cricket ecosystem. Pakistan is placed with India in Group A. The government of Pakistan announced on Sunday that their national team will not take the field against India in the World Cup match. There has been no official statement by the Pakistan Cricket Board so far. BCCI Vice President Rajiv Shukla said the Board of Control for Cricket in India agrees with the ICC's stance on sportsmanship regarding Pakistan's boycott of their T20 World Cup group stage encounter against India and will comment only after speaking with the ICC.
स्टेटमेंट आया है जिसमें उन्होंने खेल भावना को लेकर कहा है तो हम पूरी तरह आईसीसी से सहमत हैं और लेकिन हम बीसीसीआई इस पर भी कोई टिप्पणी नहीं करेगी जब तक आईसीसी से हमारी बातचीत ना हो जाए.
Now, former Indian cricketers, including Madan Lal, have come down heavily on Pakistan's decision about not playing against India in the upcoming ICC T20 Cricket World Cup 2026 game scheduled for the 15th of February, warning of serious consequences for Pakistan cricket for boycotting the India match. Now, the former Indian cricketer added that Pakistan are damaging their own cricket with this decision.
I think Pakistan, जो government है या PCB है, they're all damaging their own cricket. It's not going to solve their problems. Someone has to be there to think right, you know. End of the day, who suffers? Bangladesh is going to suffer, and you're going to suffer. The show will go on. The show will not stop.
So a clear call by Pakistan to hamper their own growth structure when we talk about playing cricket and especially in international arenas. And now to get you more on this, I'm joined by DD India correspondent Narayan Singh. Good afternoon, Narayan. Now this developing situation is getting reactions from all across the world, and the sports fraternity stands united against Pakistan's recent statement and the government that has put up yesterday. Now if we talk about the permutation and combination of what is going to happen further, what are the further possibilities that we are exploring right now, also knowing the fact that in the next 48 hours, ICC is also going to hold a board meeting regarding the same.
Deepika, if we take a look, the decision made by the Pakistan Cricket Board, especially their government, posted on Twitter regarding that they will boycott the India versus Pakistan match that will be played in Colombo. So I think this is a decision without any cricketing logic. If you take a look, around 1 week is left, less than 1 week is left to start the ICC World Cup, the T20 World Cup, which is a mega tournament, and we can say the flagship tournament of the ICC, the International Cricket Board. And within the short span of a time, you are saying that you will boycott that match, you will pull out of that match. I think this is unacceptable for the cricketing fraternity as well as the International Cricket Council, because if you take a look, ICC is not about a single country, it's not about India, and it is also not about an individual person, the chairman, the CEO. It's about all the board members of the ICC Cricket Board. Why Pakistan are doing this? Because Bangladesh is out of this tournament, and if you take a look, there the voting was 14-2. And 2 in favor of Bangladesh, 1 vote was of Bangladesh and other vote of that is Pakistan. If you talk, 14 other country was voted in the second side that Bangladesh should play in India for the mega tournament. Because of that thing, you are saying that you are boycotting this tournament. I think it is without a cricketing logic. And if you go to the backside of this event also, why they are just boycotting this time around? Is Pakistan hurt? If you take a look, the ICC Champions Trophy, when India refused to play their matches in Pakistan, at that point they went for the hybrid model. And at this point in time, they are remembering that they will boycott their match because a third country has been just booted out of the tournament, and it is by the International Cricket Body, that is ICC. So I think they are tying a different matter to a different thing. And as I know that the PCB chairman, who is also the chairman of the Asian Cricket Council, he is also the Interior Minister of the Pakistan. He has the several portfolios and donning the several hats. So I think the Pakistani cricket is governed by the people who don't have the cricketing logic. So that comes into play here. Forget about everything, that they are playing or not. I think they are just digging their own graveyard. They are thinking that they are hurting India, but in true sense, they are hurting themselves. If you take a look, the ICC revenue model, ICC's annual income through the various ICC tournaments is around 600 million. And from that income, India gets around 230 million. It's 38% of the ICC income gets to India. And if you talk about Pakistan, Pakistan is getting 6% of that income is around $36 million. And if the India-Pakistan match is going to happen, definitely it will massively hit the revenue of the ICC. So in that context also, the revenue that Pakistan will get it will have a big hit. And the total income of the Pakistan's cricket board, annual income I'm saying, it is around $55 million. And if this ICC stops giving them revenue, then their 50% of their revenue is wiped out. And definitely they will be isolated in the world cricket. And the most important thing, what will happen? Earlier, as I've said, that it's not about the individuals, it's not about the India. They are not doing this against India, but doing against the 14 others who voted in favor of, we can say that Bangladesh should play in India, their matches. So they are also boycotting those 14 votes who voted in that matter. In that sense, what will happen? Definitely, I think the other boards will not allow their players to play in the Pakistan Cricket League, PSL. So definitely, it will hit them massively, and they will be isolated in the cricketing world.
There will be a problem for Pakistan in receiving the NOCs as well as, barring their own growth structure, considering the fact that revenue losses are there and also the opportunities that they are not going to receive if they move forward with this particular step. However, ICC has given their own stand and a chance also to respond to Pakistan Cricket Board to respond on the matter appropriately. Well, thank you so much, Narayan, for joining us and getting us the latest on this developing situation as we await a final decision after the meeting that would come out by the ICC. However, an official confirmation and official communication from PCB to ICC is yet to be received. Moving on, the Union Budget 2026-27 presented by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman lays strong emphasis on education, skills development and employment-oriented reforms, signalling a transformative approach towards Viksit Bharat 2047. Congratulating Nirmala Sitharaman, Prime Minister Narendra Modi hailed the budget, saying it embodies the vision of trust-based governance. terming it as a distinctive budget that prioritizes reducing the fiscal deficit and containing inflation. Prime Minister said it balances high capital expenditure with robust economic growth.
ये बजट ट्रस्ट बेस्ड गवर्नेंस और ह्यूमन सेंट्रिक अर्थरचना के विजन को साकार करता है। एक ऐसा यूनिक बजट है जिसमें फिस्कल डेफिसिट कम करने, इन्फ्लेशन कंट्रोल करने पर फोकस है और इसके साथ ही बजट में हाई कैपेक्स और हाई ग्रोथ का भी समन्वय है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi called it a youth power budget, saying that it embodies the thinking, dreams, resolve and dynamism of the youth.
यह युवा शक्ति बजट है। उसमें युवा की सोच भी है, युवा के सपने भी हैं, युवा का संकल्प भी है और साथ साथ युवा की गति भी है। बजट में जो प्रावधान किए गए हैं उससे अलग अलग सेक्टर्स में लीडर्स, इनोवेटर्स और क्रिएटर्स तैयार होंगे। मेडिकल हब्स के निर्माण से, एलाइड हेल्थ प्रोफेशनल्स के माध्यम से, ऑरेंज इकोनॉमी यानी ऑडियो विजुअल गेमिंग को बढ़ावा देकर, पर्यटन को प्रोत्साहन देकर और खेलो इंडिया मिशन के माध्यम से युवाओं के लिए नए अवसरों के द्वार खुलेंगे।
Moving on, World Wetlands Day is being celebrated to recognize and raise awareness about some of the planet's most vital ecosystems, freshwater and coastal wetlands. India's Environment Minister Bhupendra Yadav will attend the celebrations at the Prasar Bharati Wildlife Sanctuary as the chief guest. The theme is Wetlands and Traditional Knowledge, Celebrating Cultural Heritage. The minister will felicitate states for the declaration of new Ramsar sites and undertake a plantation drive under Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam initiative. A rare snow leopard has been spotted in the high Himalayan regions during a Project Himang operation. Project Himang under the Border Roads Organization has recorded a rare sighting of the elusive snow leopard in the high Himalayas. The sighting highlights that infrastructure development in strategic border areas can coexist with wildlife conservation and environmental protection. Time for a short break, but still to come on the other side. Fresh round of peace talks involving Ukraine, Russia and the United States scheduled for Wednesday, confirms Ukrainian president. Right-wing candidate Laura Fernandez won Costa Rica's presidential election. And after the break, we'll get you amazing visuals from Barcelona's iconic Casa Bayo.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. Updates on US-Iran tension now. US President Donald Trump on Sunday said he hopefully expects the United States to reach a deal with Iran after the country's supreme leader warned that any American attack would trigger a wider regional conflict. Trump on Sunday downplayed comments from Iran's supreme leader warning of a potential regional conflict, stating, "We have the biggest, most powerful ships in the world over there, very close." The remarks came as top US and Israeli military officials held a closed-door meeting at the Pentagon on Friday amid growing tensions with Tehran.
We have the biggest, most powerful ships in the world over there, very close, a couple of days, and hopefully we'll make a deal. If we don't make a deal, then we'll find out whether or not he was right.
Meanwhile, Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei has warned the United States that any attack on his country would result in a regional war. Khamenei said that US wants to devour Iran and its vast oil and natural gas resources, adding that what happened during the recent anti-government protests was similar to a coup, since a large number of government offices, banks and mosques were stormed. More updates from the West Asia. Rafah crossing between Gaza and Egypt will be reopened on Monday for limited passage of Palestinians from both the directions. After largely being shut for almost 2 years, only Gaza residents on foot will be allowed to cross. Before the conflict, Rafah border crossing with Egypt was the only direct exit point for most Gazans to reach the outside world, as well as a key entry point for aid into the territory. The reopening is a key part of the second phase of US President Donald Trump's truce plan for the Palestinian territory. The reopening is expected to facilitate the entry of a 15-member Palestinian technocratic body, the National Committee for the Administration of Gaza, established under the ceasefire agreement to oversee the territory's day-to-day governance. Israel has said the crossing would open under stringent security checks only for Palestinians who wish to leave Gaza and for those who fled the fighting in the first months of the war to return. According to an Israeli defense official, the crossing can hold between 150 to 200 people altogether in both the directions. Meanwhile, Egyptian officials said the lists of Gazans set to pass through the crossing have been submitted by Egypt and approved by Israel. The Israeli army in May 2024 took control of the Palestinian side, claiming that the crossing was being used for terrorist purposes. Many access points have since been mostly closed, including those used by the United Nations. Rafah briefly reopened for medical evacuations during a short ceasefire between Israel and Hamas in January of last year. Syrian Kurdish security forces on Sunday announced a curfew early next week in 2 cities in the country's northeast ahead of the implementation of a recent deal struck. Kurdish security forces announced a curfew in the northeastern city of Hasakeh and in the northeast's main Kurdish city of Qamishli on Tuesday. Damascus and Kurdish forces reached a comprehensive agreement on Friday to gradually integrate the Kurds' military and civilian institutions into the state. Mazloum Abdi, who is the head of the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, said the deal would be implemented on the ground from Monday, with both the sides to pull forces back from frontline positions in parts of the northeast and from the town of Kobain in the north. He said a limited internal security force would enter parts of Hasakeh and Qamishli, but that no military forces will enter any Kurdish city or town. Updates on Russia-Ukraine conflict now. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky confirmed that a new round of peace talks involving Ukraine, Russia and the United States is scheduled for Wednesday week in the UAE. Zelensky in a social media post stated the second round of trilateral talks between Russian, Ukrainian and US officials on a US drafted plan will begin on Wednesday instead of Sunday. Neither the Kremlin nor the US have confirmed the new dates. The announcement comes a day after one of Russian President Putin's top envoys held surprise talks with US officials in Florida without Kyiv.
Our negotiation team gave a report today. There is already an arrangement to hold a trilateral meeting at an appropriate level. This meeting will take place next week as planned on Wednesday and Thursday in the United Arab Emirates, as last time.
Zelensky also offered his condolences to the families of those killed after a Russian drone strike on a bus carrying minors. At least 15 people were killed and 7 wounded after a Russian drone struck a bus carrying minors in Ukraine's southeastern Dnipropetrovsk region. The attack came hours after Zelensky announced the second round of US-brokered trilateral talks. In Costa Rica, right-wing populist Laura Fernandez won a commanding victory in general elections on Sunday, while her ruling party is set to gain a majority in Congress. Fernandez has nearly half of the votes with 88.43% of ballots counted. Fernandez needs at least 40% votes to win the election outright and avoid a runoff on the 5th of April. While consecutive re-election is not allowed in Costa Rica, Fernandez has vowed to include Chavez in her government and positioned herself as the continuity of his mandate. The current government holds just 8 seats and has blamed congressional gridlock for blocking its agenda. Laura Fernandez, the latest Latin American politician to achieve victory, and her ruling party is set to gain a majority in Congress. Well, born in Puerto in Pacific Port City, plagued by drug trafficking, Fernandez was raised by a farmer father and a teacher mother. The twice married mother of a 3-year-old girl, she considers herself economically liberal and socially conservative. Fernandez is the political hire of outgoing conservative President Rodrigo, under whom she served as the planning minister and chief of the staff. She is the second woman to be elected as the president after Laura Chinchilla, who governed from 2010 till 2014. But it is to Bukele she looks for inspiration on how to curb rising violence in a country long seen as an oasis of stability in Central America. Pakistan's Balochistan province continues to see a surge in violence and brutal crackdown by the security forces. Authorities are battling one of the deadliest flare-ups in years as insurgents in the resource-rich province have stepped up assaults on security forces, civilians and infrastructure. Now, recent fighting has left many casualties on both the sides. In Quetta, capital of the province of Balochistan, the fierce fighting over the past 2 days has left a deadly trail of destruction and death. The clashes between Baloch separatists and security forces has left streets littered with burnt cars and vehicles with security cordons on the roads restricting the flow of traffic. The Baloch Liberation Army claimed responsibility for the attacks, saying it had launched a coordinated operation dubbed Hirov or Black Storm, targeting security forces across the province. The US officially exited the WHO in January 2026, citing an unfair funding burden and dissatisfaction with WHO's handling of COVID-19 pandemic. The move has impacted WHO operations and raised concerns over global health coordination and disease surveillance. Now, why the US left the WHO? The US officially exited the WHO in January, 1 year after President Donald Trump signed the executive order. President Trump first announced plans to leave the WHO during COVID-19 pandemic back in the year 2020. The US government says the funding system is unfair, arguing it contributes more than other countries. The Trump administration accused the WHO of mishandling COVID-19 and lacking accountability. Now, short-term impacts are one of it, the US withdrawal weakens public health efforts both globally and within the US. And the loss of US funding has directly affected WHO operations as well because of this. Moving on to entertainment, the 68th Annual Grammy Awards wrapped up on Sunday in Los Angeles, celebrating music's biggest night with top contenders vying for top honors. The Dalai Lama made history at the pre-ceremony, winning the Grammy for Best Audiobook, Narration and Storytelling, Recording for Meditations, The Reflections of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Fellow first-time Grammy winner Steven Spielberg also took home the award for Best Music Film for Music by John Williams, completing his EGOT, which is Emmy, Grammy, Oscar and Tony, after a lifetime of shaping Hollywood magic. Rapper Kendrick Lamar led the night with 5 victories, including Record of the Year for his single Luther, while Bad Bunny took home 3 Grammys, including Album of the Year for I Should Have Taken More Photos. Bad Bunny delivered a political message against nationwide immigration raids, and Lady Gaga, who won 2 Grammys, encouraged women in music to fight for their ideas. Indian origin climate scientist Veerbhadran Ramanathan has won the prestigious 2026 Crawford Prize in Geosciences for his groundbreaking work on climate change. The Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences awarded the 2026 prize to Indian origin scientist Veerbhadran Ramanathan for decades of research on superpollutants and atmospheric brown clouds. Ramanathan's work transformed global understanding of climate change, including his 1975 discovery that CFCs trap heat far more effectively than carbon dioxide. The prize carries a cash award of 8 million Swedish krona and will be presented in Sweden in May 2026. Barcelona's iconic Casa Bayo is glowing anew as Gaudi's UNESCO-listed masterpiece transforms into a music and light spectacle. The installation is part of a tribute series marking the architect's death centenary in 2026. And that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download it right now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Deepika, and from all of us here in New Delhi, thank you so much for watching DD India Live.